Houston Real Estate Radio.
Welcome back. You are listening to Houston Real Estate Radio, and we're going to continue our conversation here with Jeff Shore. You can read more about him at jeffshore.com. We've been talking with Jeff about our local housing market and the national market and how it ties into our economic forecast. We've had a lot of interesting changes on the horizon with the presidential election, and of course we just came out of the recession and hope we continue to move forward from there. What do you think, Jeff? Where are we headed?
I am very bullish on where the market is and where the market is going. It's not surprising that we would have had 5 years of economic downturn. We rode that wave for 10 years going up. So, we tend to look at it and say, the wilder the party, the greater the hangover. But I think we're getting healthy again. And all of the market factors right now are pointing up. Everything is pointing in a positive direction right now.
What are the hot markets right now for both new construction and for resales?
Yeah. Well, Texas clearly leads the way. There's no doubt about it. Houston, the number one market in the United States as far as housing starts go. So on the new side, it's very, very strong there. But then Texas has always been a fairly reliable market contrasted to other markets. Right now, I would say, as far as just who's really hot, who's just has come out of the gate really strong in 2012, without question, everybody's looking at Phoenix. It's hot in Phoenix anyway, but that market is just absolutely amazing. It has just been shot out of a cannon this year, and we're seeing huge price increases, as much as 20 or 30% year over year in Phoenix. So that's a very, very strong market. Coastal California, very, very strong market. Not so much inland California, but coastal California. If you look at the DC market, coming back very, very strong. And interestingly enough, the market that I think kind of surprises people is Miami. Miami was the poster child for everything going upside down.
Yeah, went completely south.
Absolutely. And you look at condos that were sold for 20 cents on the dollar. Not anymore. That's come back. Even Las Vegas, arguably the worst market in the United States over the last 5 years. Now, they still have, the statistics say that 60% of homes in Las Vegas are still underwater, that people owe more on them than they're worth. And that's a huge number. But we're starting to see some velocity in Las Vegas. People are coming back out. They are buying homes. The building machine is cranking back up there. So even in a dismal market like Las Vegas, we're seeing signs of life.
What do you think the biggest change is that's happening that's causing this comeback?
I think there are two things. The lack of supply that we talked about earlier. If you have again, this is Econ 101. If your demand is going up and your supply is down, your prices are going to go up, and that causes people to feel like, I got to jump in. So that's definitely one strong factor. But the other strong factor from coast to coast is I can't even figure out how high rents have gone. The rental pricing in markets all around the United States it's out of control.
Yeah.
And I think more and more people are looking and saying, even before I factor in what I can write off in my taxes here, just looking at the raw numbers of my principal and interest, taxes, insurance over here versus the rent you're charging me over there, it's still cheaper to buy than rent. So when you look at the affordability index, it's as strong as we've been in our generation. So all of those things are pointing. So then what happens next? Then you start getting a little confidence going. And one person gets confident and another gets confident. And then the next thing you know, the Wall Street Journal runs a headline to say the bust is officially over. And then Warren Buffett says you should buy a home and stocks start to rise. And it's just that confidence trend that we're seeing right now all around the country. It's very exciting.
Yeah, with interest rates so low and rental prices are going up.
It's crazy.
They've been going up for months.
Yeah.
I think that now is the time to buy. Do you think that interest rates are going to be heading up?
Well, yes. I think that they could raise to that really ridiculous rate of like 4%. And I don't know what we're going to do. The sky is going to crash down on us at that point. There's no question about it. When you look at the all-time high of interest rates way back in 1981, peaking out at about 18 and some small change at that point. But the key is when you look at normal, the average interest rate over the last 40 years is about 8.5%. So we're less than half of normal. And at some point, there has to be a floor to it, because why would a lender really want to tie up money for 30 years at 3%? It just doesn't make any sense. So even if they don't go up, they're not going down any. I cannot imagine that we're anything other than at the floor. what will cause them to rise? Well, it's what will the demand for money be? If we see a broad economic upswing, then there's no question about it, interest rates will go up. That's just always the way it's worked.
And with the housing demand increasing nationwide, I think that they will go up. And if you haven't refinanced by now, you're about to miss the boat.
I think that's absolutely right. And, there is one of the things that we will see is that housing has always led us out of a national recession. Every recession that we've had in the last, through the 20th century, that's what we saw. When we were in a recession, housing led the way out of the recession. And every time a home is sold, 3 new jobs are created. So those people are now employed. They're going to spend money. You know how that cycle goes at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing that I want to kind of switch gears a little bit
Sure.
and talk about some of the things that we touched on, the appraisals, and how the appraisals, we've had a little bit of trouble with appraisals.
Yeah.
First it was lending issues
Right.
last year. Now
Right.
we're getting into the appraisal issues. One of the reasons we're having appraisal issues is because there is a higher demand for housing, and so more people are going out and buying, and the appraisals aren't meeting the demand.
Yes.
Demand drives up prices, and the appraisals aren't matching that. So we're having a little bit of an appraisal problem, but another on the new home construction front, I think that some of the appraisal issues are really tying into some of these green features that are going into homes. Some of the home builders that I've talked to are putting in green features, things that really make the home more efficient and economic for families, are really costing them a lot of money that goes into their building cost, and the appraisers are not taking that into consideration.
That's exactly right. It's exactly right. It's a huge issue right now because we're seeing this market trend that says, I want the green features. We're also seeing another market trend that says, I really don't want to pay for them. So we see we've kind of gone from this, green at any cost to this green at no cost. So everybody wants green, but everybody wants to pay for them.
Right.
But there's no question about it. Every builder out there understands that between what they are required to do by code, which is always changing in order to make homes more energy efficient, and what the market is having them do both now and in the future, there's no question about it that green is not a fad. That is here for the long run. So one thing that some states are doing is they're actually regulating this. They're making banks go in and calculate now not just principal, interest, tax, and insurance, but PITIE, principal, interest, tax, insurance, and energy costs, so that they can look at it and they can say, well, what's the real cost of ownership in a highly energy efficient home? So we're coming around on that one, but there's no question about it that green technology is expensive, that there is a higher price that goes along with it, and the appraisers are still coming around the curve on that issue. The market will solve it, but it might take a while to get there.
I think it's going to take a little time, and in the meantime, we got to have those cash buyers that can go in and bring the market up for us.
Absolutely, yeah.
Some of the other features that home buyers are demanding, other than green features, what are you seeing?
Well, first of all, we're seeing more and more builders who are designing their homes with flex space to deal with non-traditional families. So, you want to be able to, if you're a family and you got, mom and dad and 2 kids and a minivan and a camcorder, that's all good. You should be able to live in that home comfortably. But I think it's very safe to say that we're seeing more blended families, that we're seeing more multi-generational families. And so I think what you're going to see is that more and more builders are going to start removing labels off of their floor plans and on their brochures. So who said that a formal dining room has to be a formal dining room? We're just going to call that flex space, and we're going to do whatever they want to do. There's a builder in California right now, very, very interesting. They're building, if you will, 2 homes side by side that are inverted Cs, and what they have is the option of leaving the fence out between the homes. So what you end up with is a gigantic courtyard shared by the 2 homes. And the builder's doing that specifically if you have 2 families that want to have some form of shared communal living but still have each of their own space. And you know what? It's working. People are actually buying those homes. So I think the key is going to be flexibility, designing so that there's a lot of flexibility to do whatever you want to do, however you want to live in your home.
Do you find nationwide that homes are downsizing as well?
Yeah.
It seems to me that most people that come to me and want to sell, I would say most of them want to downsize.
Right.
I mean, they really want, they still want the hardwood floors and the granite countertops and all the great upgrades and amenities, but they want less square footage.
There's no question. I think part of it is, I was born in 1962. I was sort of the end of the baby boomer era. We baby boomers, we love to quote our square footage, right? We're all about our square footage. We want to tell you how much square feet we have. And when you look at Gen X's and especially Gen Y's, it's just not important. It's just not a feature that they're willing to talk. They don't even care anymore. But I better be able to have an an intranet set up with my neighbor across the street. And by the way, I want to walk to Starbucks, and my home's got to be high tech. So
sure.
it really is a societal shift along those lines to be able to give me what I really want in the way that the home lives. I don't need to wear my square footage like it's a badge of honor.
And we've got about a minute to close out. What
Sure.
do you think about outdoor spaces?
Well, first of all, to me, the key to effective outdoor spaces is the idea of outdoor space that reads into the indoors. So it's not just a matter of having a cool outdoor space. It's a matter of how to make that house holistic. So I'm seeing more and more innovative design where you can throw open the entire back wall of a home so that it reads, on a nice day, it reads completely inside outside. Your entertaining flows very, very well along those lines. These, what are sometimes called California rooms, where you've got outdoor seating, but it's got a fireplace and it's got a ceiling fan on it, and you really got all weather furniture out there. But it's really an elegant room, and yet it sits outside. So I think that's what we're going to see, is much more of living that reads inside to outside seamlessly.
I think so too. Here in the Houston area, I don't think our outdoor living is going anywhere. People like to be outside,
Sure.
barbecuing, having a good time.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
I definitely think it's here to stay as well.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeff, for taking the time to join us today.
My
I
pleasure.
appreciate it while you're in town for coming by. And we're going to be right back with more after this commercial break here on Houston Real Estate Radio.